Hi, I'm Michele Saumberfield. I am working. It's Tuesday, February 23rd, 2021. I'm working from home. I'm on the clock, and I just thought I'd take like a little 10-minute break here to film another poetry reading. Now, I'm probably going to stumble through it because, again, I can't get the print on the screen to be large enough for me to read it easily. At the same time, I'm working the camera on my computer. For some reason, if I try to get into a Microsoft Word document, it shuts my computer functions down on my laptop. So, long story short, I end up looking at really tiny print and then struggling to see what I'm looking at while I'm trying to read smoothly. So, I thought I would read another Monica WISHBRIAR poem. This one's a little bit negative, dark, I guess you could say. I thought I would wear gray today because I was talking about a subject that is a little bit sad. I think this poem is about when you try really hard to fit in with someone else because you find them really attractive and appealing in some ways, but then on the other hand, you find them kind of difficult or even maybe repelling and despicable. It's kind of like that rock star maybe who's a great talent and really sexy on stage, but then goes off and gets drunk and does drugs and cheats on his girlfriend, you know? It's like really great in certain venues and then not so much in other situations. That kind of thing. I think a lot of times when someone wants to get along with somebody else, it's very easy to subjugate your own values and interests because you want so much not to make waves, you want so much to fit in, you want so much to be the beloved one, and you also really like that person, so you want to give them the benefit of the doubt, and you want to believe that maybe you could really have a lot in common with them. And I think that's what this poem by Monica WISHBRIAR is really all about. I think it's about when you're at the end of that line and you realize you're never going to have enough in common, so you have to go your own separate ways. And you're even kind of pissed off at that other person for not being what you need them to be or want them to be. And you're also pissed off at yourself for spending so much time trying to imagine things are different than they are. But the one thing to keep in mind is, if you have a lot of problems with them, they may have a lot of problems with you. Like, I, for instance, could think that somebody is too out there and nutty and bizarre or freaky or whatever. And they might think that I'm just closed-minded and boring. You know? So I think it's important to realize that things can go both ways. Nobody's perfect. Nobody. All right. So I'm going to try to get through this poem. I'm going to use my magnifying glass, like Sherlock Holmes, to try to help me see the print a little bit better. But I know the print's still going to be hard to read because I've done this already. So I'm going to take a sip of coffee out of my Abraham Lincoln coffee mug here. And hopefully that's enough to get me through this poem because it's a little bit long. All right, let me switch screens and get on to the teeny weeny writing. Okay, I'm not even on page 1. Oh, there it is. Okay, so this poem is called Everything I Despise by Monica WISHBRIAR. How is it that I longed for thee when you're everything I despise? How is it that I ever believed, and for a time I even tried? What was I thinking when I heard you speak, falling in spell of your voice? Was I rebelling against my boredom, or did I have no choice? Swept away in your charm I felt, although you lived quite far. It was as if you held my heart, imprisoned in a jar. I couldn't get you out of my mind. Thoughts of you filled my days. And in the dreams I had of you, I entertained you between my legs. You are such an irony. You are truly quite unreal. And yet I continue to fantasize. You were giving me my fill. You talk about humanity, but put so many people down. You post stories to educate, but berate as you drive around town. You talk about perversion, making repetitive accusations, insinuating that others are dirty as you describe your own defecation. Nobody wants to hear about that, nor your political rants. How could I ever think you were suave or imagine you out of your pants? You like to be mysterious. You think mind games are cool, but it makes you a very odd friend and makes us both into fools. For someone who is so stingy a mate, can't really be much in bed. You may know all the tricks in the book, but who cares if your heart is dead? I think a man should have some feelings, a woman's joy in such encounters. After all, what good would he be, feeling nothing when he mounts her? I know you are probably laughing at this and will condemn that I should require, but feelings fan the heat of lust and intensify the fire. I know to you it is only sex, and you don't have time for loving. You make yourself perfectly clear, like a baker with a broken oven. You want to eat spicy cakes. You say you crave the batter, but you don't have any leaveners. Your seduction falls much flatter. But that's all right. It's what you want. I hope you find your due. Perhaps you'll get lucky and manage to find someone as empty as you. I'll put away my daydreams. I'll put away my thoughts. Never thinking on you again, my affinity for you is shot. And in the end, I will breathe, relaxing in release. And I will be glad to have a man with a heart and a heart-on to please. For I would have been quite foolish for sure to let you overrule what I have had for many years with a man who is a jewel. So I shall say goodbye forever, no further ado required. Naked thoughts of your wicked thrust have once and for all retired. I totally screwed up some lines. Not only did I stumble around, but I made up some words. Like I read the wrong words. Like I can't see. It's terrible. It's really bad. But anyway, again, I think that's a poem about when you get to that point where the person you spend so much time dreaming about and corresponding with and trying to have something with, you finally get to that point where you go, why are we doing this? And I think most people know what that's like. So anyway, and I think it can be even magnified more because the internet can make people believe they've got a bigger bond than they do. I do have some really good friends who I've been friends with for years over the internet, so I don't want to minimize friendships over the internet, but I do think in the romance department, a lot of times the internet is very deceptive. So anyway, and not just romance, but sex too. You know, I don't mean to say that there was any romance there, you know, like I've never had a romance with someone over the internet ever. But I have flirted with people, and I did do the personal ads things in my 30s. it, I don't know. It's crazy. We live in a crazy world. The internet can open things up for us so much, but it can also, we can buy into illusions because we only see what's presented, you know, and yeah, crazy world. So that's a poem by Monica Wishbriar, and I have got to get back to work.